Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel, Soul Set Therapy Wellness. Can't even talk today. And it is going to be about my acne story, part one. I don't know how many parts there are going to be because I've had a long history of dealing with acne myself, and I just wanted to share my actual story, so hopefully it will help other people out there actually going through the difficulties of acne as an adult, and possible reasons why you have acne. It's not just about a superficial thing that happens in our skin, but it's also an overall reflection of our own health that's affecting our skin. And as an esthetician, I was an esthetician first certified when I was 19, and that was actually when I started getting acne. So it was kind of ironic that I was learning about the skin and starting to actually get acne at that age, and I actually never had real acne before. Now I have a skin condition called seborrhea sicca, and it is an excessive oil production, and that runs in my family. I think a lot of my family, including my mom, had very serious oil issues with their skin, and that in turn can also affect kind of like predispose you to having acne, especially as a teenager. However, I didn't have acne as a teenager, I had it as an adult. So starting off today, I'll give you a little brief of my actual history, how it started when I was 19, and then kind of forward it with my actual health issues and how my skin was responding to all of these events. And hopefully people can relate to some of the story and actually start to see some of the problems that I had in what they're going through, because you can go to the doctor, you can get antibiotics, tetracycline is usually the recommendation, you can get topicals, you can get retinoids, you can get all glycolic acid. I mean, there's so many things that are kind of thrown at us, as well as the typical topical treatments that are given with benzoyl peroxide, salicylic acid, sulfur, glycolic acid, lactic acid. Like, there's so many things that are out there that are kind of saying, oh, this is going to help the problem or clear the problem, and it doesn't. Like, a lot of people will just try it and nothing, or it makes it worse, or it just doesn't do anything at all. So I just want to explain to people all of the different facets of acne and why we can get it actually in the first place. So when I was learning about acne, it was basically a skin disorder. It wasn't considered a disease. And so of course, when you go to the doctor, it wasn't a life-threatening thing, right? It just, it was a condition that you had, and it wasn't something to be worried about, to go get some sea breeze. And I think that was me in the 80s. That was the typical recommendation: get some sea breeze and strata, Noxzema. There's different things out there that people are using on their face to get rid of eczema and acne. So I just kind of recall these different things that Neutrogena, Clearasil, we all know those brands, and things haven't really changed a whole lot since that time. So anyways, I just want to go over, I wrote down a little bit of my history. And so I graduated as an esthetician in 1991, and then after that I got married in the fall. So it was very quick. So I got married in the fall of 91, and then I had my son in the fall of 92. So during that time, my acne was bouts up and down. And then my father passed away in 93, in May of 93. So I already was going through a lot of stress. And of course, the stress was making my body. My body was actually going through a lot. I had gallbladder disease, so I was having actual gallbladder attacks. And then my dad passed away. I was set to have surgery. I finally did have surgery in June of '93. And then from that point on, I actually experienced irritable bowel syndrome and all of the symptoms of irritable bowel syndrome. And so overall, I have had to overcome many obstacles with my own health. And as a result, I learned a lot about my skin, and a lot of mentors that I've had throughout my career as an esthetician actually helped me figure out things that were going on in my skin, because all this stuff was actually coming out on my skin. So over time, I changed my diet quite a bit. Like I do hear a lot about diet elimination, figuring out what's triggering the acne. I will say, in my experience of all of changing my diet, how I've changed my diet, the number one thing that is really a concern is high levels of sugar, and that can be in regular white sugar, corn syrup, all those things that are added to different foods that we eat, especially processed foods, but also just white flour, anything, bread. I don't want to be against carbohydrates. I have adopted a low carb diet as a result, but I won't say I'm totally all about keto either, because I've met some people who've done keto, and let's just say it's not for everybody. Even though I do like some of the elements of keto, I'm not into I've done a lot of elimination of carbohydrates, but I haven't totally eliminated it completely from my diet. So I just want to show some things that I have used and taken over the years that actually greatly help my problems with irritable bowel syndrome, and in turn it actually helped with my acne. And that was just trial and error. When I first started learning about taking supplements and things like that, I actually started with a herbal detox, and there are herbal detox in the health food store. Now, everything that I say, a disclaimer, please don't take what I have to say and apply it when you have serious health problems. You really should consult your doctor and a naturopath, and I say a naturopath as well, because they're into, you need to kind of all facets of a medical team to help you sometimes figure things out. I figured out a lot on my own. I did go to medical professionals and ask their opinions on things, but you know, sometimes you know yourself a little bit better, and when you're overall quite healthy or pretty healthy, you can learn to figure out things on your own. But if you're seriously have problems with your liver, your digestive system, you have cancer, you have like all of these things, you really need to have medical intervention as well. So I'm just take this all as ideas of what I actually use and that help me. But I would rather you also go to a professional and ask what kind of a routine and diet that you can do first to help yours, because we're going to change a little bit of your diet, but then we're going to talk about how to deal with what your skin is going through as well. So first off the bat, when I was I don't have a picture of that to show as examples, but I started drinking ginger tea, chamomile tea, peppermint tea, a lot of herbal teas, rosehip, most herbal teas, hibiscus. They are really helpful to the digestive system because they calm things down. And when I had very bad irritable bowel syndrome, the attacks, I found chamomile to help me the most, but peppermint would help just kind of calm the fire sometimes that you'd feel in your colon. But chamomile I found relaxed me more, and it reduced the amount of, excuse me for saying, but diarrhea. Like it was always bouts of constipation, diarrhea, and that's IBS is like that. Unfortunately, it's not fun to live with. And so that, and then also I took a probiotic. So I actually took, I take this one now, it's Food Science. And I also take this one in the morning. This has actually Brewer's yeast in it, and it's a yellow superfood. So this kind of a product, but any type of sometimes you have to try a few. The one that I recommend the most was called Bile. You can find it usually in your grocery store, like Superstore in Canada. It's actually made in Quebec. It's a very good probiotic because it has so much bacterial culture growing in that particular product. And I just took the jar and did it in half, and that's actually where I used to work. We specialized in acne treatments and helping our clients with their intestinal flora was lots of times out of whack, so we had to get their intestinal flora balanced as we were treating their skin topically. And so taking that twice a day, morning and night, on an empty stomach, that's how we recommended to use it, and that's how I started using it, because I went through that program to clear my acne. Then I found that I actually went and took, I did colonics, and this was when I was probably about 27, 28, somewhere in there, so like over 20 years ago. And colonics is not for the faint of heart. I mean, you go in and you have your colon flushed. You usually have to go twice, or I went twice. I had a very good technician. She was very experienced, and she totally removed all of the fecal matter in my colon. And surprisingly, what my problem was at the time, because we could see the actual, there was a tube and it was clear, and you could see part, and you can see everything going, everything that's flushed out of your colon, you can see it. My problem was bile. I had so much bile, it was unbelievable. It compacted in my colon and was irritating my colon. So that was part of the problem. So it made me think I had too much bile, which is kind of ironic, because later on I'll tell you what I found out about myself and my health. But I did take Digest, or full spectrum digestive enzyme. So you can find these good quality ones in the health food store, and I took it with every meal. Because when you talk about diet elimination and finding out what is triggering, it could be corn, it could be rice, it could be this, it could be that. I believe that it's all about the fact that your body isn't breaking down what you're actually consuming. I believe that allergies are a result of the body not being able to create the enzymes in order to break it down, and your body is actually treating that particular, it could be protein or whatever it is, as the enemy, and it's causing your body to get inflamed. Because inflammation in your body is kind of like the enemy. We're always fighting inflammation. So Digest, I took digestive enzymes. Then my hormones were going out of whack when I hit 37. So again, that was affecting my acne. So I take a product that, again, this is a Canadian product called FemMed. This is for premenopause. This is for PMS. And this product probably saved me in a lot of ways. It really helped to neutralize the up and down thing that was happening with my hormones. I was not breaking out at all as much as I was when I was starting to get a problem with my menstrual cycle. And another is Vitex. It's by Nature's Way. This I just take in the morning and this in the evening. But again, everyone else is different. So you're going to have to ask a naturopath or a herbalist or anyone who knows about nutrition to guide them in this journey that you're trying to figure out what works best for you. Then these two products I got, and this is later on. So when I started watching Dr. Burke, I don't know if anyone knows who he is, but I will put the link down below. This one is called betaine, and this one is a bile force. So these are bile salts. So what I was discovering is that my stomach still was having a hard time breaking down stuff. And because of the removal of my gallbladder, it was basically the direct force of the bile going right into your system. There's no gallbladder to store the bile that your liver is producing. So anyway, as a result, it was always causing some kind of trauma. And so I discovered hydrochloric acid because I thought that basically with taking betaine, that would help put the higher levels of hydrochloric acid into my stomach. And I thought I didn't have enough. But I think that's not the case. So when I was watching Dr. Burke, he was talking about the gallbladder and bile. And basically when your liver isn't producing enough bile, that's actually what can cause gallbladder disease. And I thought that actually made a lot of sense to me, because when I started watching all these different shows on wellness and kind of trying to figure out what happened to me in my past, because now I really don't have so much of a problem. I've got everything under control. But I wanted to figure out what was going on with me and my body in the past. And basically it was this. I think I always had a sluggish liver, but because I grew up so organically, I never had problems as a kid. The only time I had a problem is I go eat at McDonald's and I'd have an upset stomach, and I couldn't figure that out. I thought it was the bacteria levels in the food maybe that was giving me, because everyone knows McDonald's, like back in the day, they had all the food under the lamps, right? So you think that there's more bacteria in the food that's going to upset your stomach, right? But I don't think with me that was totally the case. It was the high levels of fat in that particular food, and then your body wants to pump out the bile, right? And when you don't have enough bile, then your body gets upset because you don't have enough bile to break down the fats. And that's why we have bile in the first place, is to break down the fats in our food. So it totally made sense. So when I had my son, basically the bile, there just wasn't enough, and it started getting really sluggish and really sandy, I guess is the best word, in my gallbladder. And that's why I started to get actual attacks from it. So after I had the removal of the gallbladder, what was interesting was the development of IBS. Again, I was not producing enough bile, but the reason the teas and the detox and all the stuff that I did, those things actually promote liver function. So the liver function, of course, bile production is one of them. So that's why I felt so much better after doing a detox. It was detoxing my liver, yes, but it was also actually helping promoting the production of bile in my system, that I needed that. So the more bile I had was actually the better. It's just when I did the colonics, it was yucky bile that was left over in the colon, and my body wasn't able to get rid of that as well because my whole system was so out of whack. And now that I look back, it's actually bile salts that I need to help with the production of the bile, to help my system break down the food. And that has been a lifesaver. And I hardly have to take this anymore. I was taking a lot, like you can hear quite a bit. I haven't been taking. What I do daily pretty much is Perrier water or mineral water, whatever you like, and my brag. So or any apple, like an organic apple cider vinegar. And I don't do the big force of like a tablespoon where I can't stand the taste of it. I do a teaspoon at a time, and I drink it throughout the day. So it really helps with production of bile, and it helps to overall, I just feel better drinking mineral water. It just helps, especially after I eat. I'll have some apple cider vinegar with the mineral water, and it helps my system. And I don't get the gassiness. I don't feel burping or anything like that, because I lived with, for years, basically 10 years, with bloating and just puffiness, excess water. Like I just had too much in my body of water, and I always felt bloated and sluggish, and all of these awful feelings. And it was just because my whole digestive tract from my stomach, even my esophagus was affected because I would get terrible heartburn. And that was a result of this fact that my stomach was not able to, it needed the extra help and it wasn't getting it, right? So all of those things are side effects of an ineffective digestive system. And you really have to look at that. Sometimes it's when you have acne. I have had clients with acne that have pretty much no major digestive problems at all. And with them, it's actually easier to treat only because I'm treating them through the skin and eliminating the bacteria that causes the acne in the first place. They will get sometimes affected by excess sugar, like they notice right away if they eat too much sugar or white bread or anything like that, that they do get more breakouts. Sometimes cheese can be an indicator as well. There's different foods that I have clients said over the years that definitely made them break out. And most of the time it wasn't that they can't eat that particular item, it's just that they had too much problems with their intestinal flora, and they also had problems, their body was having problems breaking down what they were eating. And so once they leveled everything out and we also eliminated the problematic acne bacteria, they didn't break out anymore. So it's just a matter of balancing the intestinal flora, and then also what you're actually doing with your skin topically. And that's a whole other story to tell. And I will get to the different cases that I've had in the past, some very interesting cases. And it will help you realize kind of like what you need to do more. Do you need to focus on diet? Do you have to focus on both? Do you have to just focus on your skin and be diligent in what you're doing? And that usually will help you figure out what you need to do to clear your skin. There's no one magic thing and just say, oh, it's your diet, because it's not always that. And not in my experience. And I've met, so hundreds of people with acne, and each person had their own story to tell. All right, so that's it for today. It was kind of lengthy. Sorry about that, but I hope you enjoyed it. And if you have any questions or comments, please put them down below. And also, please like me, please subscribe to me. I really would appreciate it. And we'll see you in the next video. Until then, everyone stay home, stay safe, and take care. Bye for now. Ciao.